Welcome to Vigistep Podcasts, where we discuss entrepreneurship, industry trends, and the occasional book review. It seems like everywhere you turn, there is some new announcement about artificial intelligence. This week, we're going to be diving into these more recent AI developments, but that will soon affect you. And AI is coming to your workplace and into your life, if you like it or not. And so it's good to be informed about what's going on, what are the new features, and how may you potentially utilize them. And if I've already tried them, I'll give you my opinion on what I think it's good at and what it's lacking. So today we're going to talk about, in no particular order, I think I'm talking about Teams first, then I'll move over to the other items. EA's new tools or suite of tools related to AI. They have an AI tool related to generating assets, like 3D assets, which are very time consuming. They have an AI tool that does like text to gaming, which is pretty cool. And then the Warner Bros. Discovery partnered with Google using Vertex Studio to do some stuff with captioning, which is pretty nice. Copilot is becoming more integrated with other Microsoft apps, and Slack AI is here. But before we dive in, I'm your host, Dalton Anderson. My background is a bit of a mix of programming, data science, and insurance. Offline, you can find me running, building my side business, or lost in a good book. You can listen to this podcast in both the video and audio format on YouTube. If audio is more your thing, you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Okay, the rise of AI in the workplace. So as I mentioned, there's Slack, there's Teams, there's Outlook, Excel. Microsoft is integrating Copilot into their suite of products. I have personally tried out the Teams product, so that's what I'll talk mostly about. But other than that, I haven't, and I went on my work computer. You can see it in the back. It's that silver laptop above the Mac. I went on my work computer and tried to see if I could access Copilot within Teams, and I wasn't able to. So I'm assuming it's blocked by my administrator. If I had the chance, I would have tried it out. But it didn't seem that useful. It would help you draft an email. You would do / and then it would pop up, and then it could help you draft your email or improve your email. You can do the same thing elsewhere, nothing special. Excel, haven't tried Excel, don't have access to that. It's blocked by my administrator, but I think it'd be similar to Google Sheets. Google Sheets works fine. It works okay. Sometimes it really hits the mark. I'm like, wow, I don't know how it knew what I was talking about. And then other times I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so far off what I needed. I just got to reject this. I can't accept this submission. Google's Gemini for Gmail is pretty good because it will read the email, summarize it for you, and then you can also ask it to write the email for you. But it would be cool to have the summary, and here's the summary, and like have options, like maybe a really simple like mental map flow. And I know I'm getting distracted on like this Google stuff, but it's related to this. A mental map flow is maybe someone sends you an RSVP, like, oh, can you RSVP to this Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas or whatever? And then it has a whole bunch of other information, like, okay, like if you're going to RSVP, you've got to book this ticket. You have to send in a request to so-and-so. And so it's summarized by the AI agent, whoever you want to call it, the Google Gemini. And then from there, or Copilot, from there, I would like a summary so I don't have to read the whole thing. And then have options of what I should do. Like option 1, if I want to go, have the 1 send the email I want to go and send in all the other information or respond. And then also like put it on my to-do list or do some other thing where it keeps track of like, oh, I need to do this stuff by this date, and assigns things to me, or maybe in the future does it on my behalf, like calls, makes the appointment, books the place. whatever. I give it a budget. Like, hey, here you have a budget of $500, and I put it into the Google Gemini wallet. That's part of my Google account. And the AI agent at that point, because acting on its own, goes and does these tasks by itself. And I say like, oh, if any transactions over $250, send a request via email for approval, and I'll click the approve button if I want to approve or deny. Or maybe there's a thing like human intervention. Send me where you left off and I can help you out. I would love a world like that. But then at a certain point, is AI just responding to AI? And are humans even drafting their own messages? I don't know. I'd like to automate my job and other people's jobs and work on higher value tasks. So I'm all right with it. But I do think it's funny. At a certain point, it's going to become like LinkedIn when people make those LinkedIn posts and it's like, congrats, congrats, congrats. And I saw that social media video maybe 3 weeks ago about like, I don't know, social media or LinkedIn in reality, I think. And it's like 3 dudes at a coffee shop. I think there's a woman and like sitting not with them, but like just included in the conversation. And there's some dude as a barista or someone as a barista. I don't know. But anyway, so they're talking at the round table and he's like, yeah, me and my wife just got divorced. And then they're like, congrats, Jim, congrats, congrats. And then he's like, yeah, it's pretty rough. And then they're all like, congrats, congrats, congratulations. And then one of the guys makes a like announcement. He's like, I am now dating Jim's wife. And everyone's like, congrats, congrats, congrats. And the other guy's like, wait, what? And then it was just funny because everyone just spams that like Jim congrats, or Jim congratulations. And a lot of the comments aren't human generated. They're just these text prompt suggestions. So I was on a tangent there. But anyway, so back to the original subject. That's where I want things to go. Where are we at currently? So Teams. I have been using Teams. I think I have a 60-day trial for Teams Premium is what they're calling it. Why they have a separate subscription for Teams, I have no idea. Why don't you just have one Copilot licensing fee for Microsoft suite of products? Like, okay, here's AI. You can use AI in Word, Excel, wherever, PowerPoint, and Teams. But yeah, they have a separate license for Teams. Not sure. It doesn't make any sense to me. Regardless, I have Teams Premium. It just feels weird saying that. And so Teams Premium, they're showing a lot of features online. I don't have access to those features. I don't know if it's blocked by my administrator, but I can talk about some of them that I can use. So they demoed in the website. You can watch a video, and I'll have it linked. And this time I'll actually have it linked. Sometimes I say I'll link it, and then I forget to link stuff. But it's actually going to be linked because I have the link in my show notes. So I could just drop it in. They have a feature saying catch up is like the feature. And so the feature will allow you to, allow you to catch up on your items or action items when you go on PTO. So you're like, oh, show me the last 14 days of messages, like summarize and like what things do I need to work on? And it will tell you how well that works. I don't know. I can't use it. I will note that by default, it's a 30-day backup history for, I don't know if you're getting these messages. I'm getting messages on WhatsApp. So I don't know if that sound is coming into you, but it's coming into my headphones. It's quite distracting. But we're live, so I can't cancel out on that. I can't mute the messages right now. Anyways, by default, 30 days of history is stored with Copilot. So if you want to recall like 60 days worth of data, you can't do that. You have to change your history. And if you want to recall less by default and you don't feel comfortable them storing 30 days, then you can change it. Okay, so Teams Call. I don't have this feature either, so I'm not sure. But Teams, apparently, when you're on a call, just a normal call, you can have Copilot listen in basically as a teammate and be the note taker of the call. And apparently you can collaborate with your teammate and like basically kind of talk, like not use natural language to communicate with the Copilot live in the call together. And Copilot after the call will send you notes and takeaways and all this other stuff. I have used Copilot for meeting notes, and that works if there's a transcript and there's a recording. So I am currently the main meetings notes distributor at the moment because I have the AI trial, the premium or Teams Premium. So basically, Teams Premium allows you to have your transcription. You're recording you record your meeting, you have a transcription, and then afterwards, normally you would either take notes on your transcription before AI, and now in the world of AI, you can copy that transcription and then paste it somewhere, have AI process it, paste it back into your Word, look at it, format it however you want, and then distribute it. Now with Teams Premium, it just makes the recap for you and you don't have to worry about it. The issue that I have is a couple things with it. One, it won't automatically send it to me. I feel like if I'm recording the call, I have Teams Premium, it should automatically send me the notes recap of my meeting. Like, here's all the action items. Here was who was there, what they did, what they talked about, and the tasks. It doesn't do that. You have to initiate that flow, and then you have to distribute everything yourself, which is kind of annoying. But it's better than me having to copy and paste a transcription, put it into a different AI chat, get the output, and then copy it back into Word. So it skips like 2 steps. It's really not that much savings in time, but I would like it to automatically do that. If it automatically said, hey, you had a recording of a meeting, I'm going to transcribe it. I'll give you the action items. I'll format it the way you want it. And I would like to be able to custom format my notes. I don't like the default format from the AI agent. It sends my tasks at the bottom. I feel like your tasks should be at the top. And then you should have like key items. What were your key items? Like key topics, overview of those key topics. And then you should have like a more detailed section. And then within that more detailed section, have it separated by key topics. It doesn't do that. It kind of just rambles on and has a whole bunch of things like, oh, so-and-so talked about this. And then Jamie replied and Jamie said this about that. Like it gives at a certain point like too much detail and it has too much fluff, not enough action, I would feel. So I need a way, and I would like a way to customize my notes. It's like, here's what I'm looking for. Here's how I want it formatted. This is what I want the output to look like every time. And it just does it automatically for me every time I have a meeting, which would be huge. It would save me so much time, because I'm in a product position. So I'm a product manager at an insurance company, which is a similar functionality at other companies as a product manager. You are intertwined with many departments, and you need to either initiate things like within your department, or you need to correspond with other departments to initiate things on your behalf for the product to improve it. And so you have many stakeholders that you're constantly interacting with to improve the product. That could be from underwriting, actuarial, the data analytics group, the database group, the developers. Like there could be like nine different departments you're constantly interacting with. And you need to keep track of everything, like who's doing what, because a lot of their projects are interconnected, but they're not necessarily connected with a project manager sometimes. I mean, if it's a smaller project, it's not going to have its own solo project manager. So the product manager kind of has to keep track of everything and make sure that, hey, this is how it's supposed to be working. This is the expectation, blah, blah, blah. So if you're in a product position like that and you're coordinating all these things or kicking off things, you're in quite a few meetings. So if I had this automatically kick off for me, that'd be great. And then another feature I think would be great in Teams and for this AI is when I make a team meeting, I would like to assign that team meeting to a project. So if I had a project about, I don't know, my Nana's home renovation. And so I had to meet with the electrical group to install the new hi-hats. And I had to meet with the painting group to do the drywall after the electrical people come in because they're not going to finish the drywall. And they have to paint the walls. And so I want to have a meeting with the electrical team. Okay, hey, you've got to come in on this day. If you miss this day, it delays the drywall people and they're not able to come to the house for another 3 weeks. So you need to be within this window. You need to get all your work done. What supplies do you need? Generate the takeaway, but I want to assign it to a project and I want a project to have roles. So this company, call it electrical LLC, has 2 people, Jim and Jared. Jim is the owner. Jared is the electrical guy coming to the house. I would like their role in the project. Like Jim is going to be overseeing the scheduling and what's going on and purchasing the supplies. Jared is going to be coming to the house and doing the work, and he thinks it's going to take this amount of time, blah, blah, blah. The scope of work, confirming that. And then the drywall and painting company, Jessica and Tom. Jessica's the owner. Tom is the painter and drywaller. Same thing. I want to have the roles, the project, the function, and then who's involved in the project and the different stakeholders. So then when this AI summarizes my meeting, it has the context of the other meeting in the project. So within that meeting, it understands, hey, I had previously had a meeting about XYZ with the same stakeholders on the same project. What's the project's progress? What's the updates? Are we getting stuff done at the rate that we need to be getting stuff done? Are we doing what we need to be doing? Did we execute on our action items from the last meeting? All of those things should be integrated into Teams. Teams is owned by a company with a market cap of over $1 trillion. And it's one of the most popular productivity apps in the workplace. And I think it's so bad. So bad. And that one feature is not that complicated. Like making a project and within a project having meetings. Yeah, it's simple. I don't think it's that complicated. And then storing the transcription of that project and the recording, having it tied to a project. That's not that hard. Like in like an architectural standpoint or like developer standpoint, like it's straightforward considering the other stuff that these companies work on. I feel like that's not that difficult, but it would improve the app so much. Like, so what if when you're managing a project or everyone's on this project, everyone can click in and look at the transcript. Everyone can click in and look at all the notes from each different meeting, all in one place. It would be huge. Huge. I would love that. Love that. Last thing I would say about this Copilot piece is my disappointment with Microsoft and Apple. So Microsoft and Apple have kind of been the people lagging in this AI adoption space. Microsoft, most notably, tried to fully acquire OpenAI when there was all that stuff going on, with the board and all the other weird stuff with Sam. That didn't go through, but they did get a significant stake in OpenAI, and they're partnered in Copilot is like a wrapper of OpenAI's model. My issue with Apple and Microsoft is Microsoft is competing with Google and somewhat Slack and Salesforce, because Salesforce owns Slack. I don't know how long Slack has had their AI features, but the AI features that they launched are substantially better than the ones that Microsoft has currently in Teams or any of their apps. Google has had Gemini integrated with their suite of products since December 2023. So we're almost at a full year here in a couple weeks. After this month, 3 weeks, we're almost at a full year of being fully integrated. And I was on the beta version of what Google's rolled out to the public. I've been using it for years, like literally years. And it's crazy that like, hey, like we have Teams Premium and the only features that they're talking about is like recall the highlighted tasks and write notes for your call and record your meetings and write up notes. It's just not good enough. Not good enough. Okay. AI transforming the gaming industry. And I know a lot of people don't like EA, but EA is pretty big. So I hope that they keep improving and they listen to their gamers and investors and keep improving their product and move to maybe a more sustainable product releases, more sustainable game releases, I would say, because their product at certain points is lackadaisical and not polished. A good example of that would be Battlefield 2042, which was bug ridden and just horrible, and it burned a lot of people. And that and a couple other games, not necessarily built by not AI. I almost said AI. GA. GA. I said GA. I meant to say EA. I'm all over the place. I think I said GA because it's general intelligence, but EA burned a lot of people and some other games with pre-orders, and a lot of folks just don't pre-order games anymore because of Battlefield 2042 and some other AAA games from large publishers that they just weren't ready for release, like not even close. Like they might have been like in alpha, like they're not even in beta. Like there were just so many bugs and issues going on. It was embarrassing for the users because they paid, $80 or whatever the pre-order amount was for all this content. And they felt like they got scammed because the game wasn't what they said it was going to be or what they showed. So there's a lot of refunds, but after you play, I mean, certain platforms have different refund eligibility, I would say. Like after you play a certain amount of time, you can't refund it. I think some places might be 5 hours, some places might be 3, but yeah, I mean, it just wasn't good enough. Anyways, so I'm acknowledging that people don't like EA, but EA does have some pretty cool announcements. So they're calling it Imagine to Creation. It was a text to game generation with and it wasn't like a commercially ready, but it allowed users to have a text prompt and create a game from it, like a fully functional game, which is pretty cool, I think. So it creates the tools, the maps, the gameplay rules, everything for you. So it creates a full game from scratch with text to prompt. So I think that's pretty cool because you got to think about EA has such a large library of games with all the logic, all the coding, and the character creations and the map. All of those assets are within EA. So they're trained in AI to learn how to create games, which I think is really cool. Asset discovery is another feature that they talked about. So asset discovery will help developers. I don't know if you call them developers. Game artists. I think the game artists make the assets. The game artists will use AI to create assets for games, which I think is pretty cool and great because and people might be like, oh, well, that removes all the love from the game and it's just soulless and it's just like for the money making machine or whatever rant they're going on. I would say that this AI or AI asset creation, it allows people to create these assets and then work on the more important things like the main characters and all of the other stuff to where the actual meat of the game is very polished. Like hopefully more polished than you've ever seen before. And then after that point, you could sprinkle in some AI generation assets and some other stuff to give additional substance to the game to fill it in. That would be my approach. And I think that would be the best approach for the publisher. Who knows? I don't know what they're going to do. I have no control over EA. But EA doesn't have any control over you. So if you don't like what they're doing, you don't have to purchase their games either. They also said that they expect around 60% of their games to be, or 60% of their code to be AI generated at a certain point in the future. They didn't give a timeline, but that's their goal. So I think that's pretty cool. So next topic, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the cost of innovation with AI and increased usage from the general public or large companies training their next AI model, or large companies not training their next AI model, but using it at scale, enterprise scale, I would say. We need more energy. The stuff isn't free. It might be free for you, but it costs a lot of energy. It's becoming very energy efficient, but still, the more powerful the model is, the more energy it requires, the more complex tasks that it's going to start doing because it's got more capabilities, the more energy that task is going to require, and so on and so on. So even though it's becoming more efficient, like way more efficient, like I think over the the past 5 or 10 years, its improvement is in the thousands of percent of where they started to now. But you got to think about it is, okay, it's becoming more complex. The tasks are becoming more complex. It's becoming more energy efficient. But just because it's becoming more energy efficient doesn't mean it's using less energy, because now it's more energy efficient. With the same resources, they can do more, train more, and then push the limits even further. And that's kind of what we're doing here. And so I've never been studying a technology that's improved at such a rate that AI has in the last 2 years or so. It's mind-boggling at the rate of improvement. And tip my hat to all these talented people. The companies get the credit, but really it is the talent of the individuals working at those companies. And it's definitely not a skill issue. That was more of a like developer meme. Like Google recently got in I wouldn't say in trouble, but a Google developer was AI, like head of AI research at Google. Someone was complaining about their AI keys, API keys for AI. And then the guy replied back, like somebody said, oh, this is taking too long, blah, blah, blah. Like Google needs to make this process simpler, like more straightforward. And then the guy replied, and I will note that that's fair feedback, because Google has been known to have issues with their API keys where it's just overly complicated. There's 3 different sets of documentation. There's all sorts of stuff going on. So it's overly complex. Whereas other, say example, like OpenAI is like 1 click and you get your keys and you start rocking. But anyways, so the guy replied back, skill issue. And people got pissed. But I thought it was hilarious because it's more of a joke. Like It's just like fun banter. But anyways, that's what I was talking about when I said skill issue, like not a skill issue. But with this increase of adoption, consumption, complexity becomes energy demand. So energy is becoming potentially going to be an issue in the future with these AI companies to have enough energy to train their models and to do their workflows. So Google, October 2024, so pretty recent, is in a deal with a startup called Kraos Power to buy Kraos Power to build small nuclear power plants, and it's going to produce 500 megawatts, and it is going to be completed 2030. So some time from now, but it takes a while to make. I feel like that's pretty quick for nuclear power plant. Microsoft is helping restart the dormant 3 Mile Island and hoping to kick that off by 2028. And it will provide 835 megawatts of power for its data centers. Amazon has signed 3 agreements to support nuclear energy development and will be moving forward with a nuclear power plant that's already in existence in Pennsylvania. And just for people that aren't familiar with how much like 500 megawatts is, 500 megawatts can power 86,500 homes, or 500 megawatts could power an electric car 2 million miles, which is 80 times around the world. Pretty cool. So a couple more segments left, and I'll kind of rip through this one. The Warner Bros. Segment. So Warner Bros. Partnered with Google, as I spoke with earlier, with Vertex AI, which is like their AI platform. They should just call it like Google Studio AI Studio. They've got 2 different names. Like there's Gemini Studio AI, and then there's Vertex. Whatever. So they partnered with them to generate captions for their Max streaming platform. And their Max, is it called Max? Pretty sure it's called Max, like the purple emblem. I don't watch as much TV as potentially I should, but the Max streaming platform, I'm pretty sure that's called. But anyways, Max, they have people who write out those captions, which I had no idea that there were people generating those. I thought that AI would do that, or they had something going on. Maybe they developed something in-house. But apparently there's a whole team of people that in a 30-minute episode, it would take them 4 hours or so to create all the captions for. And I don't know how, maybe they do auto translation. I don't know. If you're watching on video, I'm like fiddling around my nose. It's kind of itchy for some reason. So they have anyways, the employee takes 4 hours to generate the captions. It is a 50% reduction in caption costs, and it's an 80% faster than manual captioning. So they're able to work 80% faster and reduce costs 50%. So what does that mean for you? Well, you get to watch more shows, duh. So thank AI for that. Thank AI. Slack, as I mentioned earlier, Slack joins the AI race. They released Slack AI, which comes with Einstein as like a AI assistant that's integrated with other Salesforce apps like Salesforce, or, well, they're not integrated with only Salesforce apps, but they're integrated with Salesforce, integrated with Adobe. So you could do Adobe Photoshop to make some marketing materials on the fly or whatever you want to do. One of the big things was that Slack is built by channels, really. So like each Slack channel is kind of like you might have a team Slack channel, but a lot of times if you have a project, you'll have your own Slack channel. That's just how Slack works. And you can get actual details. Like you can ask Einstein to like summarize the action items from these 3 Slack channels, or can you monitor these Slack channels for me, turn off my notifications and like reply back with some of the stuff that I need to work on, whatever. All the stuff that I was talking about that teams need to do, Slack is doing, except you can't assign roles. So I would like Slack to be able to assign roles of like, okay, like Dalton is for this project is responsible for these tasks, and these are example tasks that Dalton would do, and John Doe would do X, Y, Z, and so then I can get all the tasks divvied up for me. I think that'd be really cool. I like that they're summarizing channels and threads to catch you up on everything and take notes while you're in a call for yourself. You can schedule daily recaps of all your threads, so you don't have to monitor threads or channels anymore. And then you can schedule things. So cool, so cool. I love it. They also mentioned that 33% of your day is spent tracking down information. Hopefully these AI apps, when they get fully integrated and mature in Slack, Teams, Google, wherever, Outlook, Notion Mail, and Gmail, hopefully no matter the end result, everyone improves and pushes each other, and we get a mature AI feature suite for these apps that for some reason are required for our day-to-day life in the workplace, but are normally a drag on productivity and deep focus. So we could spend more time focusing on the important things and worrying less about the minutia. So yeah, once again, just recapping, Copilot is coming to Microsoft Office products. Slack is adding AI-powered features. EA is using AI to create games and to improve their developer workflow. Warner Bros. Discovery is using AI for captioning and programming. HubSpot, which I didn't I didn't talk about it in this episode, but HubSpot is acquiring Mindstream, which is a newsletter for people who like to read AI, with about 150,000 subscribers. And with all these AI features coming out, the complexity and the usage going up, there is going to be an energy demand. These large companies are planning to have their nuclear power plants up by at least 2030. And the last thing, call to action to everyone who has tried out these different features, especially the ones in Copilot and Slack. I don't have access to Slack, so I just watched a whole bunch of videos online to talk about this topic. But I would love to hear from someone in the comments who has used Slack and these AI features and how much time it's really saved them. They're talking about it saves 96 minutes or 98 minutes on their website. They said per week, but it doesn't really make that much sense if you're spending 33% of your day. If you're spending 33% of your day on this tracking of information, and you're only saving 96 minutes a week. The math is not mathing, but I'll just keep rolling with it. It is what it is. Maybe they're being extra conservative, but leave a comment, please, about what you think about these AI features in Slack, and also if you have the admin privileges or your administrator allows for Copilot to integrate with Outlook and other other Microsoft Suite products. Please let me know what you think about them. I'm curious about Outlook really more than any of the others because Outlook would save the most time potentially. But of course, thank you for tuning in to Vigistep. I'll see you next week. Staying consistent like I promised. And I recently wrote some articles. I'll be publishing them on X and on LinkedIn. Those posts I thought were intriguing because about a year ago, I committed to doing one podcast or 1 to 2 podcasts or 2 podcasts or 1 podcast a month, at least 10 minutes long. And here I am almost a year later doing a podcast a week, and they're all over 10 minutes. And I'm beating expectations for myself. And I just thought it was great. So I figured I'd share that. And the reason I'm sharing that is if you have something that you want to pursue, just commit to it. And change your schedule, change your priorities, and make it happen. All right. Well, that's it for today. And of course, wherever you are in this world, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you tune in next week. Goodbye. Okay. That's so weird. Stay in studio. Why is it not letting me cancel? What the heck? Dude, it's like not recording anymore. I can't not record. Oh my goodness, this never happened. Leave studio.